Oh, hi. Welcome back to Deb's Big Backyard. I'm Deb, and I'm putting my garden to bed today. I potted some of my herbs, and I'm going to take them inside for the winter. I've taken out a lot of the plants that are spent, and they're going to become compost soon. And to finish up the job, I have to make sure that all my tools are sharp enough, and it doesn't look like they are. So I'm going to head over to a friend of mine, Don Nekrosius. He does workshops in Oak Park and all over the Chicago area. He's a University of Illinois Extension Master Gardener, and he does a lot of public education. He said I could bring a few friends along. Here we go. Hi, Don, it's Deb.
Hey, Deb, how are you? Nice to see you, lady.
Good, it's nice to see you.
Welcome, welcome.
I'm here to talk about tools.
Well, I hope you brought some.
I did, I did.
Good, and we have some here too that you can take a look at. This cleaning of tools and sharpening tools is a very important thing for a gardener to do, you understand.
Yes, I know, I know.
Well, there's some pretty good reasons. One, it's safer for you to be working with a sharp tool. Mm-hmm. It's very respectful of the plant life that you work with to be using clean and sharp tools. Because if you use a dull tool, for instance, and you cut a stem, that will crush it. And when you crush a stem, there's all kinds of fissures in the tissue, and you can get disease and insects into that. So sharp tools are good for the plants, good for you, and it's part of being just a good gardener. It makes you be a better gardener, actually.
Well, right now, let's get back to the tools, and I got some dull ones here, and you've got some other ones, so where should we start?
Well, when you came in, one of the things I was doing was working with a spade or shovel, and you can see that the back side of it is kind of dirty. It's got dirt on it, and I shouldn't have let it get dirty like this, but you know, doctor, to heal yourself, that kind of thing. I was finished with the front side of it, and as you can see, it's shiny and clean, and it has a coating of mineral oil on it to preserve it for the winter time. That's one of two ways to preserve the tool for the winter. So I would finish with this by doing an awful lot of work getting the crud off with, there's a technical term I sometimes use, schmutz. You get the schmutz off the back of it with a wire brush, and then probably I would work pretty hard with just sandpaper, medium grade sandpaper, and just take it down to the metal. Now, the most important chemical that you can use on this is grease, elbow grease. It's just a lot of hard work to get this nice and clean. That's what happened over here. Right. And then when I would finish with that, I would use, what I like to use as a lubricant as well as a treatment is mineral oil. Okay. Mineral oil is inexpensive. That's one good part of it, but what the really nice part of it is it's natural. It comes out of the ground. I learned about it because this is what my wife uses to take her makeup off. And it's very benign. So what I would do is take a little bit of mineral oil, put it on a cloth, not too much, and then just rub it in, and that will protect this metal from rusting over the winter time. Why should they go through the effort of doing all this? Well, I think it's a very good idea at the end of every gardening session to clean your tools, and if you're using a tool that has an edge to it, to sharpen it. That way, when you come to do the next gardening session, you don't have to think to yourself, oh, I'm going to work on the tool. That's not where your mind is at. Your mind is at the seeds, the seedling, the soil, the compost, whatever you want to work at. So you go get the tool and it's all set to go. You know, when you buy shovels from the store, they're dull-edged. They have a perpendicular angle on them. What you want to do is put a 90-degree angle on the inside curve from shoulder to shoulder. You don't need to sharpen the outside edges, but you will do something on the back side. So I'm going to grab the file in two hands. Sometimes when people are using a file, they'll go back and forth. That's a mistake. Oftentimes when people first learn to file, they'll stay in one line like that. I like to call it traveling. You have to travel across. In fact, I'd like you to come over here now and give this a try. Okay, all right. That sounds great. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? I don't know. Tell me. Practice, practice, practice. So get over here. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm taking it like this, and then what? And then just going like this? And pushing forward, too. You have to also push forward. Well, there's a little bit of resistance, but I can feel it. All right. Is that enough for now? That's plenty for now. The other thing I wanted to just... Wait. Well, there's one other step. So let me get back here. We'll switch places again. That sounds good to me. When we've run the file across the edge like that, what we've done is put a burl, which is a fold over of metal. So you have to, on the back side of the blade, do this a couple of times. Okay. And that takes the burl off. Okay. Now one last step. I still have a little bit of oil on here. I want to rub some oil on that open metal. And that will protect it from rusting. Well, that's great. So really, the reason that we're doing this is that we want a sharp tool that can go in and dig out whatever we're doing.
we want to have a clean tool because I'm thinking it has something to do with carrying disease or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. Diseases in the soil, so there also are insect eggs like crazy in the
Right.
soil, and any mud that's on here, dirt that's on
Right.
there, can carry all of that around.
Right.
And it's typical, you know, I'm a gardener, I'm a tool user.
Right.
This is my fishtail dandelion puller, you know.
Yes, yes.
And you can see there's dirt on the back of it, dirt on the inside of it.
Right.
So I was lazy when I used this the last time,
Well,
I admit it.
you know.
So I would just take a scrub pad like this, real inexpensive scrub pad,
Yeah.
and just take that dirt off. Same with the trowel, just clean it off. Notice this is a stainless steel trowel,
Yes.
And I like stainless steel for that kind of application. I don't like it for a blade, a sharp blade, because it doesn't take a good edge and it doesn't keep a good edge. You'd
Okay.
want another kind of blade, like a high carbon steel blade.
Well, you know, I never thought about, so I guess my question is what tools do you sharpen in a garden, in your garden thing, besides the snips that I have here that I'm not going to walk away without them being.
Well, bring those out.
Here you go, here's my snips.
Well, let me just mention about tools in general. My hand, put your left hand out, Deb.
Okay.
And I'm going to put my left hand out. They're basically the same size. Mine's a little fatter. They look mine looks that way because of the glove.
Right.
But I would want it to be fitting in my hand very easily as yours does.
Okay.
So also with this, it fits my hand. It
Okay.
balances well,
Okay.
and it's a high quality tool. In
Okay.
other words, it won't break.
Well, with this one, I'm going to be doing a lot of my cutting of my different refuse that I've taken up from the garden for composting. And so right now it needs to be clean, and
It does need to be
probably,
cleaned. There's
yeah.
a lot of green
Well, I was
material
doing some
here.
stuff this morning. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I would do is probably use a little bit of alcohol in a scrub brush or
Yeah.
a scrub pad.
Yeah.
Dip some alcohol there, and
All
put it
right.
on a hard
I guess
surface,
this is turning in a true confession for me.
and it's coming right off.
Oh, all right. There. You can make
Very
me look
simple.
good.
Takes fast. It goes very quickly to get it clean.
Yeah.
Doesn't take a lot of hard pressure.
Yeah.
And do the back side of this one as well.
And again, you know, I've been having a lot of powdery mildew at the end of my season on my squash and some of
Sure.
the other things, and
That's unavoidable.
It's unavoidable, but it's very important to clean up
That's
after
right.
that.
And
right?
look at these handles. Boy, I don't know. I should take you out in back of the woodshed about these handles.
Right.
So I'm just going to take an inexpensive cotton cloth and
Okay.
wipe this off.
Oh, this is great.
It's a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
And what we're going to use to sharpen this is there's an angle on both of the blades, on the inside of both blades of this particular tool. And we need a little, it's somewhere on this table, there it is, a little whetstone.
Oh, okay. Great.
And I get this at a local hardware store,
Okay.
not too far away from here. And it's very inexpensive. They used to be natural, come out of Arkansas,
Yeah.
and they were sometimes called Arkansas stones. Now that's all been quarried out, and these are artificially constructed. This does not have what some of the larger models have, which is a coarse and a fine side. This is regular, a pretty good fine side to it. So what
Okay.
I'm going to try to do, if you're going to do it up in the air, what you do is you reverse the tool in your hand and hold it like this.
Okay.
And what you're trying to do is to reproduce that same angle. Now,
Okay.
that's hard for me to do when it's up in the air like this, so I'm going to come back down to a solid surface, and I'm going
Okay.
to just run it.
All right. Well, that's not so hard to do. In
It
fact,
is
it's
not
very
so-
easy.
It is very easy. And the
Yeah.
nice thing about this particular small stone is it fits in your pocket. And if you're doing a day's worth of pruning, or maybe 2 hours worth, or even an hour's worth, every 10 minutes, it's a good idea to put hone or get a
Yeah.
nice little blade back on it. And you'll be shocked how much easier and more, it's more fun.
Well, I can't wait to do my composting with this new blade that you're providing
Again,
me
on the
with.
back side, I've
Yeah.
created a burl, so I'm going to lay it flat.
Okay.
And you could, if you took the time, you can actually feel that burl.
Okay. All right.
So these are a lot sharper. I'm going to wipe
That's
off
great. Thanks
anything
so
else that's on
much.
there. And these will work much better. Now, one of the things I would advise you to do is
Yeah.
to take, again, the mineral oil. And
After you're done doing that, right?
Yes, and I'm going to just lubricate it a little bit. And what I
Okay.
like to do is use either a chopstick or a pencil, or this is a little rod that sometimes we use with ornamental plants. Just
Mm-hmm.
dip it in there and put it so that I'll be able to run a bead across there,
Mm-hmm.
as well as all the moving parts.
Okay.
I'm not using a lot,
Yeah.
even on the spring, so
Yeah.
it won't rust. The first time you do this, it feels very awkward.
Yeah.
The second time you do this, you do yourself personal damage. The third time you do this, you begin to build some competency, and before long, it's a habit.
Right.
And the reason I wanted to get to a habit is because that makes for good, responsible gardening.
What else should we sharpen one more thing, or should we talk about things to be sharpened? What do you think?
Let me just maybe talk very quickly about storing tools for the wintertime.
I would love to do that.
Because there we are in the fall season. Our gardening season is coming to an end, and you
Yeah.
want to be able to, what you should do is clean the tools and then treat them with something. And what I like to use on all my metal tools is a very common product, petroleum jelly. I goop it on real thick on any kind of surface,
Wow.
on any metal surface. So I'd have to clean that first,
Right.
and then I would cover this with petroleum jelly, and then I would hang it up
For over the winter.
for over the winter.
What does that do for you then? It's like
It keeps, it's actually carbon dioxide and water that forms that metallic oxide we call rust. So what it does is it prevents the air, which has a lot of carbon and dioxide in it, from getting to the metal. That's
Wow.
basically what you're doing, is keeping that out, the moisture and the air. I did want to mention to you wooden handles,
Okay.
like this guy right here.
Okay.
This is a wonderful tool that probably you couldn't find for sale anymore, but still, you have to treat the handles as well. And this is a good thing to do before you put them away for the wintertime.
This is
There's
great.
a grain to it that you can see the vertical striping,
Yeah.
and that can raise.
Right.
And when it does, it can become very dangerous to you. You get slivers or cuts.
Yeah.
So the trick with these guys is to take, again, sandpaper and just go back and forth until it's back down to bare wood. You can see it begin to lighten up.
Oh yeah.
I do that to the handle too, but this is just a demonstration for you, Deb.
That sounds great.
I'd wipe off the little pieces of wood that came off, and then this is the neat trick next, is to take some boiled linseed oil,
Okay.
not raw linseed oil. And this comes from a plant, the linum plant, from which we also get linen.
Okay.
And this is the seeds that are pressed, and when it's boiled, the advantage of a boiled linseed oil is it will dry quickly. A
Sure.
raw linseed oil would take 3 days to dry.
Okay.
So again, I'm just using a cloth.
And again, you just get this from a local hardware store or
Yes,
something. like-
and one lasts a very long time.
Okay.
I'm gonna
All
fold
right.
that up, pour some on.
Well,
There we go. And I gotta always put the top on. Boy, have I learned that.
you bet, because you don't want that stuff spilling.
So
Okay.
now look at that patina.
God, it looks like it's new.
It's actually better than new. I
Yeah.
think this, in my mind, this color, this feel. By the way, this soaks into the wood. It protects it. It brings it back to life in some way, and it's a very natural product. Again, we don't want to use a lot of harsh chemicals.
Right.
And so this will no longer distress. This won't, the grain won't raise. You won't get slivers or cuts from it.
Right.
So all of the wooden handle tools that you have, you should use this method on.
Sure.
Sand it down, put linseed oil on it, and then hang it up. Even if I didn't sand the handle, so put the linseed oil on it. It already
Well,
looks
that's
so much
great.
better.
Well, this is, we live in such a throwaway society, and this is such a
Now
sustainable
that you mentioned the
aspect.
word throwaway, this is a point I have to make.
Okay.
This linseed oil and this rag is dangerous now. If I were
Oh.
to store it in a closed container, it could spontaneously combust.
Oh.
So always with linseed oil, you have to dispose of it in the trash and then make sure it goes out into the waste stream. It's a bad thing to
Okay.
do,
Well,
but you want to be safe.
I'm wondering, how can people get in line to be at one of these tool workshops? Do you have one coming up?
My suggestion is to look at the Park District of Oak Park seasonal catalog, where a lot of classes are offered across the Park District's facilities, but especially at the Oak Park Conservatory.
Sure.
Where you'll see me there teaching, again, vegetable gardening and seed starting and composting. But almost every year we do a tool care workshop is the title of the class. And it is a workshop. I
Sure.
present a little bit, and then people actually get up and do it. And it takes a good 2 hours
Well-
to go from a dirty, dull tool to one that's clean, sharp, and treated, and people
Right.
go home with a real sense of pride, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, I learned a lot today.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Don.
My pleasure.
Okay, I'm Deb,
And Don.
and this is Deb's Big Backyard on the Road. See you next time.